colleagues and those joining us online. It is a pleasure to welcome you to our weekly press briefing. Today is going to be an exciting one, and it is the last one for 2021. So definitely we wanted to end with a bang. And thank you so much for just continuing to support the weekly press briefings and what it is that we are doing here to provide you the information that you need to do the jobs that you do so well. And definitely we are committed and excited to work with you in 2022. I'm going to now invite our press secretary, Clint Watson, to introduce our two speakers for today.
Colleagues, still safe to say happy holidays to all of you, and hopefully you had a great Christmas, and from the looks on your faces, it looked like everybody got what they wanted. Kyle's shaking his head, but we're indeed grateful to be here for the final press briefing of 2021. And to all of you joining us on streaming online or watching live on television, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. We're excited to be here another week to give you information pertaining to the Davis Cooper administration today. A couple of quick notices I want to give to you before Prime Minister comes, and that is some announcements. As you know, in just 2 days, the new VAT rate of 10% will take place. Businesses and all offices and agencies are expected to fully implement this new rate. This will provide an overall savings to Bahamians and residents of 2% from the 12% presently in place. So on Saturday, January 1st, 2022, the Davis Cooper administration will successfully implement one of its key campaign promises of lowering the VAT rate. Financial Secretary Simon Wilson says all systems are go and the Ministry of Finance is ready for the implementation on day one. Also, we've reached a milestone achievement in vaccinations. Congratulations to the staff of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville's leadership, as well as the former administration and workers there. More importantly, the Bahamian people for reaching the important milestone of 154,153 vaccinations of the adult population in the Bahamas. This is about 50% of the population who's eligible to be vaccinated, and this is significant in our fight to end this pandemic. We continue to encourage all Bahamians and residents to take advantage of the free vaccines available and the boosters. These are critical to defeating the virus. The minister also announced that the government's free testing program will soon start as well. And our final announcement, obviously, Prime Minister Davis, if you haven't heard yet, has been named Person of the Year by the Jones Communications Network. For the past 20 years, the media company has selected a Person of the Year. Their decision was based on the Prime Minister's ability to reverse the devastating defeat of the PLP in 2017 with a well-oiled party machinery to regain control of government. The overwhelming victory at the polls last September, according to the company's CEO, Wendell Jones, demonstrated broad acceptance by young professionals, the trade union movement, and the business community in Mr. Davis's leadership. The decision was also based on the selection of a diverse slate of candidates, dynamic cabinet, and within weeks of taking office, delivering an impressive performance at the COP26 United Nations Climate Change Summit in Glasgow, Scotland. The Prime Minister, of course, will receive the award in the ceremony set for January 21st, 2022. And talking about the outstanding achievements of Prime Minister, we're going to invite our Prime Minister to come and deliver a statement to you. Since he was in quarantine, he's now out of quarantine, doing well, healthy, and in good spirits. He'll update you on where we are, and of course, milestone achievement of being in office and what we've done so far to date. So without further ado, please welcome to the podium Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I hope that you all had a wonderful Christmas. I want to give special thanks to those who spent some of their holiday helping others. There is no better way to celebrate the gift of God's love. My friends, Christmas Day marked exactly 100 days in office for our New Day administration. So I thought I'd share some thoughts this morning about our nation's progress navigating forward out of the health and economic crises. The good news is that there is plenty of light at the end of the tunnel. I'm very optimistic about our ability not just to recover, but to really thrive. We are determined to build economic growth that lifts all lives, and we are putting in place the foundation we need to get there. The bad news is that we likely have a very difficult 1 or 2 months ahead of us. As everyone knows by now, the 2 strains of COVID that are circulating, Delta and Omicron, are very, very contagious. Omicron, even more so than Delta, which was already many times more transmissible than the original COVID virus strain. I am in constant contact with our health team. I know you heard from yesterday in a press conference as we follow and examine data from around the world and use it to make the best policy decisions possible here. As the virus changes, we need to stay flexible and we need to stay in the fight together. Our economic crisis has been so prolonged and so severe that I am not considering any serious shutdown of economic activity. As I've said, many Bahamians are earning their first steady paychecks in a long time. Many fragile, small Bahamian-owned businesses are just starting to recover. And as a country, we are taking important steps to economic recovery. So blunt instruments like shutting our borders or prolonged nationwide lockdowns are off the table. Instead, our COVID policy is focused on giving Bahamians support to reduce their risk and on expanding our hospital capacity to accommodate any increase in hospitalizations. The distribution of medical-grade masks to the Bahamian people begins today. Wearing these masks properly is one of the most effective ways to reduce transmission of this virus. These masks protect both the person wearing the mask and others near that person. NEMA is beginning today to distribute these masks to clinics and to vaccine sites under the able leadership of Captain Russell, Ms. Gail Munker, and Petty Officer Ingram. I want to thank them for springing into action and helping us get these protective masks to people, while the distribution will continue in the days to come. If you have had COVID in the past, but you are not vaccinated, please know that prior infection is not a protection against the Omicron variant. You can become reinfected and you can transmit the virus. Countries are recording record numbers of confirmed COVID cases every day. Yesterday, the United States recorded more than 480,000 new cases in one day. And this is an undercount of the true number of cases. Omicron is so transmissible that nearly all of us are likely to be exposed to the virus in the coming weeks or months. And the question is, how ready will your body be to fight off the virus? If you are vaccinated, and especially if you are vaccinated and boosted, you have given yourself an excellent chance at experiencing the virus as an inconvenience instead of as a severe disease. Yesterday, the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, said that individuals who are not vaccinated are 10 times more likely to contract the virus and 20 times more likely to die from COVID. I'm encouraged to see many Bahamians continue to sign up to be vaccinated. By now, more than 8 billion people worldwide have been vaccinated. I said earlier that we are all in this together. That means we need to do our best, even during this festive season, to protect each other. Some people have diseases or take medication that does not allow them to build strong immunity to the disease, even when vaccinated. We do not yet have pediatric vaccines in the country. There's no approved vaccine yet for children under the age of 5. These are the people I want you to think about when you make your New Year celebration plans. The situation here has changed quickly so that what was safe even last week is no longer safe. As you know, we have limited the size of gatherings to reduce the risk of super spreading events. We also decided not to permit the carnival to operate, a decision many of us agonized over because our children have had a very tough few years and deserved some special fun. A lot of Bahamians have asked why the big hotel properties are allowed to have outdoor New Year's Eve events. These questions are more than fair, and indeed, I share the frustrations and concerns. Our health protocols are designed to reduce transmission risk while still supporting economic activity. Often, these twin goals are in contradiction with each other. It's not easy balancing act. It is not an easy balancing act. And you may think we get some of these decisions wrong. But the primary health goal is to slow transmission among Bahamians, to protect our people, and to protect our hospitals from the coming onslaught of cases. With that in mind, we are asking the hotels to take steps to protect Bahamian staff, and we are asking Bahamians to reconsider attending these events. These hotels are full, and their guests are going to socialize on New Year's Eve. It may be safer to be outside at a concert instead of inside at bars, nightclubs, and the casino. I hope that is the case. I don't want anyone to get sick in the Bahamas. But this is the world we live in now. Full hotels are fantastic news for our economy, but bringing people together increases risks. One of the most regrettable consequences is the need now to delay the reopening of schools. I'm pleased to report that work on getting the buildings ready for the return of students and staff has been almost full-time in recent weeks. Most of the premises are ready, but a 2-week delay will allow those returning from abroad sufficient time to quarantine and thereby help to keep our school communities COVID-free. The loss in face-to-face education has been one of the biggest casualties of the pandemic, and we must make every effort to ensure that students are not left behind in fulfilling their potential. We can see from the different approaches adopted by different countries around the world that there's no single answer to living through this time. But we believe that all the available evidence supports our approach, balancing the health and economic interests of the country. I spoke before about the distribution, which will be nationwide, of medical grade masks. We are also going to get larger scale free testing off the ground, beginning in New Providence, which we will also expand nationwide as quickly as possible. Our pilot free testing programs in the Family Islands taught us a lot about how to make the logistics work. We know Bahamians have struggled with the cost of testing, and we don't think knowing your health status should depend on your income. We'll also be rolling out a public education campaign so that Bahamians can get answers to their questions about masks, the virus, the vaccines, and testing. If you have a cold or flu symptoms, or if you know you have been exposed to someone who has COVID, please get tested and do not go to work or gather with others until you have your test results. In addition, as a reminder, advice that applies to everyone includes: outside is always safer than inside. Limit your time indoors to whatever extent is possible. When you are inside, open as many windows and doors as you can to reduce the number of virus particles in the air. Wear your masks, double mask until you have a medical grade mask. If you are vaccinated, get your booster shot. If you're unvaccinated, you are at serious risk. Please do what billions have done safely worldwide and get vaccinated. I want to turn to some other issues now. You may recall that in the speech from the throne, my administration proposed our agenda for change. We promised solutions to rebuild, recover, and revolutionize our Bahamas. In these first 100 days, we have reduced VAT to 10%, a change that will take place in 2 days' time. We have seen an enormous rebound in our number one industry. We have eliminated the burden of the travel visa for Bahamians. We ended the competent authority, which was just another name for rule by one man. We ended curfews, and in the months that followed, restaurants and other businesses began to prosper, and our COVID case numbers went down. We've also moved quickly to end a number of contractual obligations that were a very bad deal for the Bahamian people. All Bahamians will feel the benefit of reduced VAT immediately. You will have a little more money in your pocket. And when you spend that money, the government will make up the revenue which would otherwise have been lost by the rate cut. This is what dozens of other countries have done during the pandemic. We want Bahamians to receive the same benefit. In addition, we have enhanced social assistance to the most vulnerable in our society. And in the past 2 weeks, workers and pensioners received the cash payments we promised to provide. We have made other changes as well in accordance with our New Day values. Take today, this weekly press conference, which began during our second week in government. Our press secretary and director of communications have introduced many ministers and other public officials who have given full and detailed briefings on matters of national importance. We decided that not only could the briefings give the press access to officials and answers about public policy, but we could simultaneously promote local food businesses by featuring one at each briefing. I would like to express my personal thanks to my press secretary, Mr. Clint Watson, my director of communications, Mr. Latre Raming, my speechwriter and communication advisor, Mr. Ian Poitier, my director of operations, Mrs. Alison Colley, and their teams for the work they have done and their commitment to serving our people. Within these first 100 days, we have also taken significant steps to restore our presence on the international stage. We recognize how important it is to give investors and the international lenders confidence that the Bahamas is in good hands and heading in the right direction. My address to the United Nations, delivered a week after I received the instruments of office, was well received, especially among our CARICOM neighbors and colleagues who celebrated the return of the Bahamas to the table. The impact of my statement to the plenary session of world leaders at COP26 meeting on climate change in Glasgow was such that new partnerships, new alliances, a new profile, and a new confidence emerged among national and industrial leaders. Bahamians can be proud that our small little country is batting far above its weight on the international stage. My friends, the health crisis and the economic crisis that we met on coming into office are still with us. Far too many Bahamians are still hurting. We have an enormous amount of work ahead of us. In the new year, I will address the country to say more about our plans going forward. If you haven't had a chance as yet to read it, please have a look at our blueprint for change. It is a roadmap for how we plan to move the country forward. We want Bahamians to become familiar with it so that they are equipped to engage with us and to interrogate the policies to help us get it right. I thank you, God bless you, and I pray that you have a happy and prosperous new year. I will now take questions, if you have any for me.
Okay, yes, good morning, Mr. Prime Minister.
Morning.
Obviously, we're still very much in the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic. but recently we saw an announcement by the CDC reference to the way quarantine is being conducted. We saw significant changes there. Is that something that we are looking at going into the new year?
Well, our medical team and task force, and led by the Minister of Health, are looking at what's happening around the world and deciding on what will be best for us. We have noted the changes made by CDC, but we have to also appreciate that our realities are completely different from the United States reality. And we have to ensure that when we decide to adopt any measures that is suitable for us, but we note the changes made by CDC, and our team are assessing those changes now to determine what adjustments will be made to our rules or measures that impact our conduct and behavior.
Well, also heading into the new year, you talked in a parliamentary address. You spent a considerable amount of time on debt management, announcing at that time the formation of a debt advisory committee. I'm just wondering what progress they have been able to make.
Yeah, that committee has been formed. It's intended to be announced next week. As you would note, that we did announce that James Smith had consented to chair that committee. It will be comprised of significant players in the financial market and in banking. It will be a cross-section of persons who has the experience and know-how to assist us in stabilizing our finances. That committee has been formed, but we'll be announcing it next week, and I don't want to preempt that announcement today.
From Ms. Davis, one of my questions you already answered in your remarks. Is there any consideration for parliamentary proceedings to be, I guess, in a hybrid model in light of what's taking place now with a new variant?
Well, yeah, Parliament, I think, is scheduled not to meet again early, I think, but 3 weeks from today. So we're watching the trend. Depending on how the trend goes, we may have to give consideration to how we re-engage as parliamentarians. And that is not off the table.
Jasper. Happy holidays, Prime Minister.
Happy holidays to you, Jasper.
My first question, that Brand New Kind deal that your government scrapped, will you guys table that in the House of Assembly?
The agreement, the arrangement, yes, that is something we could table. Well, two things. It didn't occur to us whether we should or not, but if you think that's a cry of the public, we could. And I would just ask the Minister of Tourism Investment to lay it on the table. But I think it does deserve a communication from him as to where we were, where we are, where we intend to go, and that will perhaps include laying those documents on the table of the House.
My second question, the press secretary recently published or released an audit of the Beaches and Parks Authority. He said that you gave some instructions as it relates to that audit. Can you tell us what those instructions were and your thoughts are on that audit?
Well, I don't want to preempt what I would have said to the team, but the preliminary report, the preliminary observations made by the accounting firm that was engaged reveal many troubling issues that require further in-depth investigation. And the instructions are along that line to carry forward with those in-depth inquiries to see where it leads, and wherever it leads, the chips will fall where they may.
And my third question, since Laurentia only had one question, you noted in your remarks that you don't intend to take any blunt instruments like prolonged nationwide lockdowns or border closures, but does that mean that curfews and shorter lockdowns are still on the table?
No, I said they're not on the table. We think we're able to devise measures that would contain behavior of our people that would not require impacting economic activity.
Yes, Prime Minister, we had a police-involved killing recently, and we haven't had an inquest into a police-involved killing since at least the start of the pandemic. It's been about 2 years. I want to know, do you think this is acceptable? Are you satisfied with the level of attention that is being given to this?
Well, first of all, any killing, whether by police or otherwise, is troubling and requires the proper investigation to determine the circumstances under which that killing may have occurred, and allowing the chips to fall where they may. So it is not acceptable that you have killings and the time lag in investigations follow to be as long as it is, because it impacts memory, memory fades, details are lost, and it does not help in solving the issues. And so, yes, we are concerned, and we are talking with the Commissioner of Police. We will talk to the Commissioner of Police and the Attorney General to see how we can address these issues, because it does go to the root of confidence in the force. And one of the best tools for effective policing is the confidence of the general public.
Can you say if all the members of the Cabinet and the PLP's Parliamentary Caucus team are fully vaccinated?
I can't say whether all are, but what I can say is, I do not believe in mandating vaccination. I'm encouraging it, and I'm using myself as the example as to the efficacy of vaccination, how safe it is, and how it protects you from contracting the virus. And I've used my family to demonstrate that if you are vaccinated, you don't get sick or sicker. And so I've been encouraging all of my members, my parliamentary caucus, my cabinet members, to become vaccinated.
Kyle.
Yeah, Prime Minister Davis. Sorry. Free testing was a major thing for the PLP on the campaign trail. I know you launched a pilot program on the Family Islands, but some are asking what's taking so long with having it here in Nassau, if in fact you were ready on day one like you said you were. Any definitive date that you can look forward to?
Well, free testing should be starting imminently. We had the pilot program in the Family Islands, and that demonstrated some of the logistical issues that we would have to address when we roll out the whole program. And so, yes, within the next couple of days in New Providence, free testing will be rolled out.
Second question from me. Did the former Prime Minister Minnis raise concerns about the contracts at beaches and parks to you privately before the matter was raised in Parliament?
No, he never raised any matter with me personally about his concern. Pardon me?
Did you raise it with a member of your team?
Well, a member of my team did indicate to me that the Prime Minister was concerned about what happened at Beaches and Park, and I ought to have investigated it. But that did not prompt what happened with our investigations. I'm advised through a member of my team that he may have. Now, whether he did or not, I'm not aware. But I trust what my member told me.
I just have one more question. Is there anything that you would have wished to have gotten done within your first 100 days in office that you didn't?
Well, one of the things I would have liked to have done is to be able to respond more quickly to some of the cries of our people. But I understand, when we look at where we are and what has to be done, we are making progress. But progress doesn't come as quickly enough for as many that expect it to come. And that's always my disappointment, not being able to deliver as quickly and as to many as possible, because there's only just so much that can go around. But that would be my only regret to date. But we are at it. As I said in my remarks, there's just still too many behemoths hurting. And until they stop hurting, I will not be content.
Good morning, Prime Minister Davis. With government reviewing and cancelling deals that are not in the best interest of the Bahamian people, is your administration going to move forward with the OBAN deal, and what is the status of that proposed development?
Well, the Oban deal, we still are trying to find the files. We're still trying to determine what the deal was really all about. We have had no contact with any of the principals of that arrangement, and whether they are still interested in pursuing it, we do not know. But the deal that we know, what we know from the public pronouncements, is not a kind of deal that my administration could embrace. But as I said, we have not seen the actual deal. We only know what was put in the public domain by spokespersons from their side and responses by persons from the government, like I think it was Minister Folks and others who were supposed to have had the committee to look into it. But what I saw in the public domain is nothing that we would be embracing. Hopefully we'll find the file and hopefully we'll be able to get to the bottom of it. But again, we've had no contact from anyone of principals of that Oban deal to indicate whether they want to go forward with it or not.
Anything else, Martin? Simone? Happy holidays, Prime Minister.
Happy holidays to you.
My first question, also on your first 100 days, how would you describe your leadership since coming into office?
Well, I'll before you tell me what you think about my leadership, because I don't like patting myself on the back, but I think as a team, we've made tremendous stride in moving to stabilize the economy, attempting to bring relief to the most vulnerable amongst us, and for all those things. And yet, as I said, many are still hurting, but I think we're making tremendous stride to bring in relief, lowering the VAT to 10% to put more monies in our Bahamian people's pocket, raising the pension, giving a stimulus to workers and unemployed workers. Those are some of the things we're able to do to date. And so we are hoping to continue doing the good things that bring relief and to relieve the hurting of our Bahamian people.
And this is my second question. One of the things that your administration would have done since coming into office, we saw a shift within one of the law enforcement units, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, with several new officers being appointed to high ranks. My question is, will we see a new police commissioner in the new year? We see the commissioner sitting right
Commissioners, yeah. I think you'll see the same face in the new year. You'll see the same face.
You don't expect to see a new commissioner in the new year?
No, not in the new year, no. Unless he has other plans. Unless he has other plans.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for taking time out of your busy schedule to update us on what's happening in the country and after 100 days in office. Moving right along, because we do want to be able to keep you on our time segment, I want to invite the Commissioner of Police to come and address us. I know there have been some concerns of some criminal activity against persons and some other statements he'll make as well. And so we're just happy that he was able to make himself available to the media to make a statement and to take any questions you may have for the Commissioner. So without further ado, Commissioner of Police Paul Rolle.
Thank you very much, Clint. Well, I think your first question was answered. Okay, and I say I don't have no plans to go nowhere no time soon. Okay, and hopefully that put that to rest. I'm 56. Okay, and the Police Act says you can wait until you're 60. The Pension Act says 65. So those people who are busybody, leave me alone. But ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On a more serious note, of course, Dr. Watson and those joining us by electronic means, I'm privileged to serve in this capacity, having to navigate law enforcement during the novel coronavirus pandemic. The Bahamas remains in a state of health emergency, and we must keep the faith that the Lord will bring us through these difficult times. I would like to firstly commend the courageous men and women of the Royal Bahamas Police Force who, without fail, continue to show up and work for the Bahamian people regardless of how they may have been affected. These men and women are committed to ensuring the safety and security of all Bahamians, residents and visitors during the most challenging policing era in modern history. In light of recent surge in criminal activities, and particularly in New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Abaco during the month of December, I thought it necessary to address the policing response and give you some detail and advice. According to the health officials, we are currently experiencing a fourth wave of COVID infections in the country, and as police officers, we have our share as well. We currently have 23 police officers testing positive for the coronavirus, including 3 in Grand Bahama. The Grove Police Station recorded the highest number with 9 incidents, followed by the Criminal Investigation Department with 5, 3 in headquarters, and 3 in the Crime Scene Investigation Unit, respectively. All of these units have an extremely high interaction with members of the public. We also have an additional 31 officers in quarantine. All of the officers in quarantine have been vaccinated. To date, we have over 2,000 police officers and 600 reserves who are vaccinated. I look at the COVID response. With a significant rise in new cases over the past week, the COVID Enforcement Unit conducted some 400 checks of businesses, establishments, and restaurants. We were particularly challenged over the holiday weekend when persons took the liberties to breach denied requests to hold events. Officers from the Grove Station and CID responded to the majority of these incidents. I also want to remind restaurant and bar operators that the onus is upon you to ensure that all of your patrons are fully vaccinated and to ensure that the health rules are fully enforced. I also wish to remind members of the public that the playing of loud music in residential communities is not permitted. And members, when you find that you should call 919 or 911 while this is going on so that we can take the appropriate actions. I now wish to turn my attention to recent crime in December. Preliminary figures indicate that during the month of December, crimes against the person decreased by 24%, and crimes against property decreased by 4% when compared to December 2020. However, year to date, crimes against the person increased overall by 19% when compared to this period of last year. There was no change in crime against property year to date. We have investigated 119 incidents of homicides thus far in 2021, compared to 68 in 2020. There were 103 murders in New Providence, 13 in Grand Bahama, and 3 in the Family Islands. For the month of December 2021, we recorded 12 homicides. Fatal gunshots remain the leading cause of death. Recently, we recorded 4 offenses, sexual offenses matters, including 2 incests, 1 indecent assault, and 1 rape of females, all here in New Providence. In the rape matter, a 29-year-old woman was walking in the area of Carmichael Primary when she was attacked and sexually assaulted. I cannot express enough to encourage young women and all alike not to walk in dark areas alone. This occurred around 5 a.m. in the morning. The reality is that no one is safe to do so, regardless of your place. During the month of December, we recorded some 34 armed robbery incidents throughout the Bahamas. The majority of these occurred in or around residences and others at business establishments and streets. As persons were arriving home or getting into their vehicles, these were where the majority of these armed robbery incidents took place. And I want to again encourage persons to be aware of your surroundings. When you're going home, make sure that you're not being followed for persons who may wish to have ill intent. When we look at fraud matters, I want to say that we pay close attention to all matters pertaining to fraud and cybersecurity within the Bahamas. Fraud, in a nutshell, is when deception is used to obtain funds or other items from person illegitimately. And we have seen recently persons who want to take advantage of individuals because we've been in the lockdown and in this pandemic, and a lot of persons now have been resorting to online transactions and having their information stolen by thieves and purchasing items, and they don't find out about it until after. But we continue to pay close attention to these emerging trends and communicate with the various stakeholders in relation to these matters to identify possible weaknesses in their systems. And we provide officers within the department with the training to keep on the cutting edge. When we look at drugs, we also saw an uptick in the transport of illegal drugs as well. We recovered 3,154 pounds of cocaine during the month of December alone. An additional 647 pounds of marijuana and 88 ecstasy tablets. We identified the cocaine with a link to Venezuela and marijuana with a link to Jamaica. We have charged 43 individuals and placed them before the courts for possession of dangerous drugs during the month of December alone. When we look at firearms, we were successful in removing 8 illegal firearms from the streets during the month of December 2021. 7 persons were charged for possession of firearms. Overall, we have discovered 276 firearms for the year and 3,354 rounds of assorted ammunition. The importation of illegal firearms continue to be a concern to us as more Bahamians of dual nationality or residents, mainly in the United States, avail themselves to opportunity to purchase or to straw purchase weapons and utilize mainly what we have seen, the emergence of courier services to import these illegal firearms here. And we have stepped up our efforts within the United States and with agencies such as the Homeland Security Investigators, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearm, as well as the local policing precincts to help us in identifying these agencies and flushing out these persons in the United States. Police-involved shootings. There were 7 police-involved shootings during the month of December, 2 of which were fatal. Overall, there were 21 police-involved shootings during the year. 13 fatal, So to date, we have had 13 fatal shootings and 8 non-fatal. The latest incident of police-involved shooting occurred last night in Grand Bahama. Officers were on mobile patrol in the Warren J. Lavarity Highway leading into 8 Mile Rock when they observed individuals in a small Nissan Note discharging shots at persons in a Honda Fit. Officers then pursued this vehicle that took them into the Hawksbill area and into the South Bohemia, where the individuals, as they were being pursued, discharged shots at the police vehicle, causing much damage to the police Dodge Charger, shooting out the windshields. Luckily, none of the officers were injured, but the officers did return fire, and the 3 of those suspects exited, got into the bushes, and officers were able to recover in that vehicle a 7.62 AK-47 assault rifle. And having checked the bushes, found a male suffering from gunshot injury to the shoulder, which we believe may have been caused by the officers. And he was taken to the Rand Memorial Hospital, where shortly afterwards, another male showed up who alleged that these individuals had shot him. But we continue to be concerned for this level of violence and gun violence that we see, and concerned with persons who are prepared to engage the police in gun battle. I wish to discourage this type of aggression and urge individuals to follow the instructions given by the police. So while we work toward a better Bahamas, we are fully aware that there is still much work to be done on our part. We are prepared to roll up our sleeves and navigate our quest to create safer communities throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. But the police cannot do this alone. We need your help. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Yes, Commissioner,
Gisela?
the Leon Griffin murder probe. On the evening of the deadly shooting, the press officer indicated that he believed, or police were leaning in the direction of an armed robbery attempt. Given some of the information that has emerged since then, is that still the direction police are leaning toward in terms of motive?
We are continuing to investigate that the murder with Leon Griffin. I don't believe that armed robbery, what is developing now, does not appear to be armed robbery. But I can say that we are following significant leads. We have a young man in custody now. Well, not in custody, but who's giving us some information.
So it appeared to have been targeted.
I could just leave my answer right there, Jasmine. Okay, it doesn't appear to be armed robbery. Okay? I don't want to speculate because at the end of the day, that I'm hoping we want to solve this and put it before the court.
Update on that Jerome Avenue massacre?
Nothing different from what I've shared already. We have identified some of the suspects in that matter, whom we have reason to believe have left the country, and at least one is dead. And but I said in the past, which I have said, because of the nature of that, some information I cannot share, but to ask you to, and ask Bahamian people to know, and to remind the Bahamian people that yes, we are pursuing it, and there are some things that I'm doing before we really come out and identify these people publicly.
Now, Commissioner, you stated several facts, figures about police-involved shootings throughout the year. I guess my question is, what is the police doing to gain trust from the public going forward?
Yeah, you'd ask the Prime Minister. I think somebody asked a short time ago whether or not about the cases not being moved forward in the coroner's court, and I share those same concerns. We have not had a coroner's inquest for well over a year or thereabouts, or for some time, because of the COVID. What I've done, realizing this, because when these incidents happen, just like murders or any killing, the family has an interest in knowing what happened. What I have done is to appoint my own committee within the Royal Bahamas Police Force, which is comprised of Deputy Commissioner Fernando, Assistant Commissioner Lehman Delaveau, Assistant Commissioner Shivago Dames, and Father Stephen Davies. And I have mandated them to look at every one of those police-involved shootings. We have 5 files right now that I had some concerns with, and I've asked that we begin with those, based on information that I've been getting from members of the public, and I've asked them to review those files. And once they are completed, then I will make my recommendation to the coroner. If you're familiar with the Coroner's Act, it gives the coroner certain powers where they either satisfied that the action was justified or not justified, and if we believe either way, and then it goes on to the Attorney General. And in an effort to help the coroner and to speed up, hopefully to speed up the process, and if that's up to the coroner whether they will accept my recommendation or not. But the pressure is on me, you know, I feel it. And so I'm trying to do this because I want the Bahamian people to know that I'm not going to be covering nothing. Whatever the information is, we're going to make it available to the members of the public. Okay? Yes, Harold?
Yeah. Commissioner, you mentioned that over the holiday weekend, police made a number of checks, but we know the emergency orders would have been done away and legislation replaced it. Does the new legislation give police, I guess, teeth to perhaps issue citations and I guess invoke some fear to not break these protocols that are in place now?
Yeah, it gives you some, but I have other authority as well. And as I indicated, but we still, because, you know, any of those events, you still need a permit from the commissioner. And I said earlier that there were persons who I denied, and they still decide that they want to proceed, and I shut them down. And we'll do it again. And I have not approved any of those large events like that, where these persons were dancing. And I think on Christmas Day, I'd send the team out to go and meet with those individuals and let them know that those events were not approved, and they couldn't go. I think in one instance, the chap still decided that he was going to set up, and I said, I'll spare you the prison, just close up and go home. He did that.
How many large events have been, or illegal events have been shut down recently?
I don't have the number with me. I know we visited some 400, about what was reported to me. Okay, but we tried to be helpful to the people, Jasper.
400 over a period of time?
No, this on the weekend, Christmas.
One more from Kyle. Sorry, one more from Kyle.
Yeah, this is not 400 breaches. We were doing routine visits, but in the process and during the night, persons who were having some functions and loud music, we took action against those. There were some citations issued. You'll see those later in the court. Well, we issued summons. We're not going by citations. I don't think the Act really provides, but then we still have other means in which we could deal with them.
I know she's one question. I actually have two. Was an officer arrested in connection with that Crooked Island drug bust?
No, not arrested, but we are doing some investigations. The officer was, an officer was implicated, and I've given instructions to have full investigations.
He's on leave, I assume?
He's not on leave. Yeah, but I ain't got to be on leave for me to do my investigations. He'd be on leave if I find him at fault. He'll have to answer. Yeah, we don't, the chips will fall where they may. I just hope that he's not involved. But the investigation is ongoing, and, we see where it goes.
You mentioned during your remarks that behemoths at home in residential areas cannot play loud music. So you're saying that people cannot parties with loud music? Because we always assume that, there was a cutoff time.
You can play music as loud as you wish. You can put on headphones. Deaf yourself, but if your music is going to disturb me, then you're committing an offense.
At what time of day? Any time of day?
Anytime.
Wow.
You don't have a right to disturb me. You don't have a right to disturb your neighbor. If your neighbor is offended or by your loud music, they call the police. In the first instance, we may ask you to turn it down because you're disturbing your neighbor. But to have these loud parties and playing your music, we'll tell you, and then after that, we may end up confiscating your property, which is an inconvenience. We don't like to do that. Okay? But we simply say to people, if you want to have a party, and alert your neighbors, invite your neighbors, bribe them. You heard that from the commissioner, right? So bribe your neighbors, invite them. Hopefully they don't report you. But but when they're ready to go to their bed, and you're still playing music, they have a right to call the police, and the police is obligated to respond, because we got some complaints. Now, you have some people who just call me. You have to call 911, people. Commissioner must sleep too. They call me 1:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning to complain of loud music, and I'm sleeping. And sometimes I get up and I see the message, I hear my phone going off, and I call control, did you get this? And they said, no. You have to allow me a little sleep, please, people. Yeah.
Two things, Commissioner. Exactly how many officers were promoted during the recent promotional exercise? And is 13 police-involved killings the most in a year that you are familiar with?
I'll have to check the figures, because I think at one point it might have been like 12. And but I don't know. I know there were 13. I gave you the current facts, 13, and I don't just want to concentrate on the fact that it's police killing, because you got 13 killings, 13 attempt to kill police. Let's make sure we get that message out. These are 13 idiots who are crazy enough to pull a gun on my officers. And the officers are not going to sit by and let somebody shoot them, Rashad. And that's why I continue to say to people, your family have guns, illegal guns, tell them turn them guns in. Because in instances when they found that they are cornered and they want to threaten the life of officers. Okay? But there were 13, and all in total, there were 20. 20 instances where persons reportedly challenged the police, and the police had to use lethal force. But only 13 died, out of the 21, sorry. That's the message that I want to get out. Now, that makes a task for me when these things happen, because I have to then make sure that the officer was one justified, and if he's not justified, then, but you see, we have not had any inquest in a while, so that's all. Obviously, what I would ask members of the public then to do is to impress on the authorities to get those coroners' inquests. We just appointed new coroners, So she is being acclimated, and she has to go over all of those. The former coroner was elevated to a judge. I believe we need more than one, because it's not only the 13 fatal this year, but you have last year and those other years. And people are waiting to get, resolution. Okay, and then you asked about promotion.
Yeah, how many people were promoted?
I think it was 20. Well, you had a deputy commissioner. Let's start at the top, right? And 2 assistant commissioners. There's deputy commissioner. And let me make it straight, because I hear people saying that senior deputy is deputy. We have 2 deputy commissioner, and Clayton Fernandez, I put him responsible for crime. Assist me with crime. And Maki, Deputy Commissioner Maki, will focus on discipline, the internal discipline of the force. So 2 of them work in tandem. We had 25 chief superintendents, 2 assistant commissioners, which is, you've seen with Bernard Bonamy Jr. and Mrs. Delores Ferguson. And Bonamy has responsibility for Family Islands operation, Family Island policing, which is very big. And Mrs. Ferguson has responsibility for HR and training, which is also a huge feat. And then, of course, we have, like I said, the 25 chief superintendents. There were 60 superintendents, 87 assistant superintendents, and 98 inspectors, and 325 sergeants, 325 corporals, and I need another 100 constables to go in training. Okay? So y'all get those figures. I think somebody had asked, you had pulled that question to me. I told you I would wait. Matthew?
Yes. Why did the recent rape go unreported?
What recent rape went unreported?
The female who was raped near Carmichael Road.
I don't know what you're talking about. We report all of our rapes.
You know, she had presented to Eyewitness News, and when we called, and then that's when they gave us the information.
Well, you need to ask Eyewitness News. I have the report, and that was, when it came to me, it was disseminated. Yeah, and I also encourage people not to. But you see, when you have to work with the police, and my colleague here, Eyewitness News, right, Clint? You remember Clint? Clint used to call me, He used to call me, but people like to go to Eyewitness News, but you have to come to the police. We investigate. Oftentimes they have their story, but the story, you got to allow the police to investigate. And I believe all of those were reported. No, not Paul Roll, maybe another commissioner, but who ain't born yet. But no, we will report them as need be. Okay.
Question?
I'd like to give my question to Kyle.
Let's piggybacking off that, because it is a serious issue. Are you saying that police do not withhold, reporting incidents like rape out of fear of causing panic in the community?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm asking.
I said we report all of the crime matters.
Not necessarily all. Not all.
The major crimes. I mean, you don't want the minor crimes. We don't report those. But there's a standard that we report routinely. If you find that an incident has not been reported, that was not because we intended not to report it. It is sometimes the press officer was not alerted. Unlike with a murder, when we have a shooting incident, for example, they'll call the press officer, he'll go to the scene. An individual, say sexual assault, might go to a station in the first instance and take it to the hospital. So the press officer would not get that right away. He'll get it eventually. So you may see that in a press release later. By the time that is out, sometime in your case, Mario, they then went to because the individual is saying, I need to get this story out, and they will go themselves. But then the investigators, the matter has to be investigated. CID will go to the hospital, take the individual down there, and not necessarily report it right away to the press officer until it comes to me. I'm the press officer for the force. Okay? Peters acts on my behalf. Make sure we're clear with that. So, not Peters. And I didn't give any instructions to him not to report. Those things will come to me, and if there's something that seems that I think will cause public concern, he will call me and I may script it. Because ultimately, and I may say to him, refer them to me. You see? That's how that would work out. You still want your question?
Yes, sir.
You're cheating. All the partners, right?
That was his Christmas present.
Okay.
How effective has the CCTV cameras and the body cameras been for the police force over this past year? You said we've had about 13 police involved shooting. Have we been able to utilize those machinery, and when can we see the body cameras footage?
The CCTVs, first of all, you asked like 5 questions in one, right? But the CCTVs, yes, they are working. I've got requests just up to yesterday from attorneys asking for footage to assist. I think it was a traffic accident. And we have any number of incidents where CCTV, we are using those for investigation. Remember, the CCTV may not necessarily help you to prevent crime, but it helps in solving. The same goes for the body-worn cameras. I said a moment ago that I appointed a committee, and the committee is looking at all of those images collectively and to see whether or not it lines up with what the officer's account of it is, and they will make recommendations to me.
Were body cams used in all 13 of those incidents? Are you able to say?
I don't know. Well, they should have, and where the officers were. I'm not sure. I don't think all of those officers would have had body cam, because in one or two, I believe the officer was off duty. Okay?
Thank you.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Bahamas.
Your mask is right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions from us. Now to the segment most of you, yes, most of you show up for. Our businesses of the week. We want to highlight Bahamian businesses of the week. And today we're highlighting two. We're highlighting the Nom Nom Pita. And of course, the proprietors of that are Bahamians Samaya and Sakina Cargill. And I'm inviting them to come and tell us a little bit about Nom Nom Pita. Many of you may have heard about it. I've never heard about it, so I'm excited to hear about them. The Nom Nom Pita. And then, of course, we have Black Pearl Tea. And the proprietor is Donovan Brown. So we're going to invite Samaya and Sakina Cargill to come real quick and tell us about Nom Nom Pita. I think this is, who's coming? Samaya? Samaya, yes. Yes, come Samaya.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Sakina's a little bit camera shy, so it's just me today. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about a dream that has recently become a reality for myself and my sister Sakina. So Nom Nom Pita is a new restaurant that focuses on food that has been inspired by the Middle East and North Africa. We're located just off Collins Avenue, through the corner next to Francana Cleaning Company. We offer takeout, delivery, catering, and event hosting in our outside dining space. We can comfortably accommodate 22 people on a regular day, but for special days like New Year's dinner tomorrow, we can accommodate up to 40 people outside, socially distanced and comfortable. So we are constantly experimenting with our menu. We are adding new items to keep things fresh, seasonal, and interesting. We source as much as possible from local farmers. We find that native lamb makes our mutton tagine especially tender and delicious, and our fish is always fresh off the boat. Our menu has familiar flavors like our Nom Nom burger, but with a twist with our kefta seasoning. And our veggie pita is a must try. So it's a mix of fresh and pickled vegetables topped with roasted mushrooms. And we can do that vegan or vegetarian depending on the sauces. So we have turmeric yogurt, avocado cream, hummus, and our guests love to customize it with things like steak, shrimp, fish, chicken, and of course, falafel. We make and retail an assortment of dips and hummus, including baba ganoush, mahamra. We made the rose plum jam that's on the chicken wings that we brought today, as well as the orange marmalade that's on the almond sugar cookies. We also make pepper sauces and cheese. We have a very experienced team led by my sister as a guest executive, and our head of kitchen operations is Jason James. He also has experience in many of the major hotels on New Providence and on the Family Islands. This means that we can easily accommodate special diets and customize our menus as you like. So to summarize, Nom Nom Pita is fresh, healthy, and delicious. We're also very affordable, and so I would encourage everyone to come and visit in the new year and try something new. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see some of your mouth dropping right now, watering. And then, of course, our second business that we're going to highlight tonight is Donovan Brown, Black Pearl Tea. Come, Donovan.
Hi, good day, everyone. So I'm from Black Pearl Bubble Tea. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of bubble tea before, but you have? Okay, awesome. So what we do is we infuse different types of teas, so like green tea, black tea, oolong tea, with different fruit flavors. So what we actually do is we grow fever grass as well as peppermint. So those ones we grow ourselves, other ones we import from our friends in Taiwan, and we mix different fruit flavors with it, right? But the spin on it really is you get toppings inside the cup. So you could have like tapioca pearls, which is made of starch from cassava. And what we do is we knead it in a special preparation process, and basically comes out chewy. So it sits at the bottom of the cup. But you have so you have like mango, passion fruit, taro, like winter melon, a lot of different flavors. But the whole basis of bubble tea is creating what you want. So you come to us and you say, hey, I want this tea base with this fruit flavor, with this topping. We know how to put it together, and we put it together the way you want. And that's the special thing about it. We're located in the Shirley Street Plaza. I don't know if a lot of people know where that is. We always have to pretty much tell them exactly where it is. It's on the side of Thompson Trading. It's also on the side of the post office on Shirley Street. Yeah, Better Bodies Gym also is in the same plaza. We're open 7 days a week. That's Sunday to Monday. But right now it's a little different. Just check all of the schedule on our Instagram or Facebook. That's Black Pearl 242. But we're open 7 days a week normally. That's 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again in the Shirley Street Plaza at the front. We initially started in October of 2019, right before everything changed. We were doing pop-ups and events, and we worked our way throughout the pandemic in a lot of different ways, and we actually opened up a shop I'm talking about, in February of 2021, the same year. Again, come out, try our products. We have a lot of different options. We also partner with another company called Kunigiri, and they specialize in food. So if you come to our store, you won't just have drinks, you'll have food as well. It's Japanese street food, so it's really, really good. Like corn dogs and sushi donuts, and it's a lot of different stuff like Yangnam as well. So we have a lot of options if you ever come to our store.
Thank you, Donovan.
Thank you.
Thank you. So see, as you can see, all of these businesses we're highlighting, you have new lunch options in the traditional lunch spots. And Kyle, I have one question for you. Who hosts the best press conferences ever? Kyle, if you don't give me an answer, you're going to be last on that line. Thank you all for joining us. Please have a safe new year. We'll see you back here in the new year. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Good afternoon.